All right, so first topic for tonight is um, what a lacrosse goalie should be focusing on between now and the spring. All right, and so what I just touched on a little bit there is it never fails. Every year, this time of year, I get emails or messages from people going like, "Oh, I'm a little out of shape, or I don't feel like I'm ready." Now that don't I don't feel like I'm ready can happen to goalies who are like peak performance shape and they just have low confidence, versus other goalies who just sat on their ass for a year and haven't picked up their stick. But I just want to share a story. So one of the things, I don't believe in the term burnout. I don't use the term burnout, but I do use the term under recovered. So a lot of parents throw around the word like, "Oh, I don't want my goalie to burn out, or I want my little my goalie to burn out." Well, um, burnout is really uh, it's at the end of a very long road of poor recovery. Mental, emotional, and physical recovery. So if your goalie is risking burnout, um well, there's probably a lot of things as you look back that have led to this, right? And so a lot of things, a lot of things, for my goalies that have been playing a lot of lacrosse, and some of you have not stopped all year, right? So not some of you have not stopped all year. Some of you have stopped playing lacrosse, but you've played other sports, and that's awesome. Like I like that, because what it gives you is, while the physical side of you is still training and the volume is raising up, is that you've taken a bit of a mental break from lacrosse. And every adult listening to me right now will understand that, even on a micro level, like if you're working on something at your desk and you're just not coming up with the answers, if you just walk away from it for a little bit and you kind of distract yourself and you come back, then you've got like fresh mind, fresh ideas, and then all of a sudden there's the outcome you're looking for, right? Like the answer you're looking for. And so that happens on a macro level too, and so it's really, really important to understand that. The thing though, that as we if your goalie is so if your goalie has had some sort of rest, mentally or physically, then you can look into kind of what we're going to talk about today, going like, all right, we can go all in. Some of you though are going to hear this, like what I'm about to lay out, and you're going to like, oh my God, I got to do that stuff. And you haven't given yourself rest. So what I'm going to say is let me just start here because I got like six things in my head. So if your athlete is a high level goalie and they play in goalie for a really long time, and they are looking forward to the spring season, and they're conscientious and they're hardworking, I throw a lot of the girls that I coach into that category. Sometimes the best thing you can do between now and the spring is to not play lacrosse. Okay, it's to not play lacrosse, and that may shock some of you. Like, oh my God, but the season's right around the corner. I can't do that. No, yes, you can. Because the myth is that if you put your stick down, all of a sudden you're going to become like a horrible goalie. Like all of a sudden you're going to forget all the skills you ever had, and you're going to forget how to play lacrosse, and the spring is going to be a write off. And that's I just want you to know that's not the case. If you've been playing lacrosse for a long time, and you have like your technical skills are decent, like you understand the game of lacrosse, uh, the best thing you might need right now is to not play. Okay, is to not play. So if you need more help on that, if you want, just you can email me or Facebook message me or whatever. But I guarantee you that the best thing you can do for a lot of my best advice to elite athletes is to stop, is to rest, is take a break, right? So that's rule number one. Is the best thing that you can do between now and the spring is to take a bit of a break. Okay. Now, how long should that break be? Well, it depends. If you've been playing lacrosse for like 3 years straight and you're just exhausted, and you still want to do well and you still want to work hard, but you could probably take all this time off between now and like the spring. Go hang out, go rest, you know, active rest, like, get in the gym, do things like that, but don't kill yourself. Don't give yourself a bit of a break. Okay. That's really, really important to understand. Right now, let's say you're a goalie and you're still learning. Like you're not brand new to the sport, but you still have stuff to work on. what do you do between now and the spring? Technically, okay. Well, technically, you can benefit from you know, maybe focusing on technique and learning on how to, maybe you've got some bad moves in front of the ball, things that you're trying to fix. Well, those are things you can do. You don't have to go to a practice. You don't have to go to a field. You don't have to go get shot on by some college kid. You can do a lot of that type of work, that mental work and that technique work at home. Okay. While, not killing yourself physically, because there's three abilities, right? That, you've got to understand your physical ability, like your body's ability to be a goalie. And then there's the technical side of being a goalie, like how do you actually move in front, making a save and things like that. And then the other thing to understand is, you've got to, you've really got to, have tactical ability. Well, tactically, there's on the field tactically, and then there's off the field tactically. The question is, well, the question is, well, like, what do you need to work on? Like, what do you need work on? Tactically, sometimes taking a break is a tactic, right? It's a looking at yourself like from a kind of a meta level, a high level, going like, all right, what do I think about my game? What do I think about me physically, technically, tactically? What's the best thing for me to do? Okay, maybe it's taking time off. Um, then what you've got to understand though is like, where do you fit in? So if you, like I said, if you're not necessarily elite goalie, but you have some things to work on, and realize that the technical side of things can be done off the field of play. Okay. And if you're like a brand new goalie, like if your parent, if you're a parent listening to me right now and you've got like a goalie who's kind of brand new and they got a lot to learn, well, yeah, playing a little lacrosse between now and the spring is fine. What I don't want you guys to fall into is this idea that, if you got some coach who's just like, "Oh my god, we have to be playing lacrosse 24/7." That is not that is not the answer. And unfortunately, um that is all too often the problem. Oh man. Sorry, I got a little technical work here. Post was created on Facebook for this. Delete it. Cancel. I'm really not sure what's going on here. So for those of you guys in the group that can see me, I hope you guys can see me. Hey, Bob McGee, I see you, buddy. All right. So, you know, I try very hard, like as a coach, like, there's a lot of coaches out there that say like, oh, when I played, yeah, we didn't pick up a stick the whole year. And then we had like 2-a-day captain's practices and then we played. Yeah. And it was great. I'm not saying that. I'm not speaking like that. What I am saying though is that for a lot of goalies, if you've been playing club ball like 3/4 of the year and the spring's coming up, you've got to look at yourself physically, technically, tactically, understand what is it that you need. Okay. Now, I will speak to the goalies who are well recovered, they're well rested, they're ready to go, they're excited to play, and they fall into that category, okay? And only if I say this with a grain of salt because every year I get a goalie that kind of contacts me that becomes like a lacrosse goalie university member, and we work on some coaching, and I find out from the parents that this goalie hasn't stopped playing lacrosse like 4 years, right? And they're always shocked when my advice is like, you should do nothing between now and the spring, okay? But if you are well rested, if you are well recovered, if you're excited to play for whatever reasons, and we've got basically like, you know, it's January 5th as I'm recording this. We're starting, let's say, end of February, March for some people, right? Depends where you live. So let's say we got like 70 days before things get going. What do you do? So one of the best things, if your technical ability is high, so meaning you understand the game, you understand how you want to move in front of the ball. Primarily, your technique is sound. Um, I'm going to encourage you and again, resources, everything, time, energy, money, right? I'm going to encourage you to get in the gym between now and the season, because what's going to be the biggest improvement to your game is your physical ability, right? Because in the three keys to making any save, right, you got to see the ball, you got to know where it's going, you got to move in front of it. Where you are going to make the biggest improvement in time is your ability to move in front of said ball. Okay. So The way you're going to do that though is not doing some like, circuit training or some light conditioning work or stuff with your team, like team building stuff before the season starts. Yay. No. Like all that team building stuff is like the athlete who gets hammered the most, or I should say not hammered, but just like neglected the most in that is the goalie. Because as the goalie, you are the most explosive athlete on the field. And any sort of like team training that you do you know, uh, that's uh, circuit training or stuff where there's like 20 of you in a room, and there's like one personal trainer trying to look at y'all. That stuff is not helping the goalie. Okay. So the idea here is that you've got to understand like what you're trying to improve. Now, the answer to that is, let me just pull my notes here. All right. Um, what we're trying to do is we're trying to take the athlete that we have, right? So like I, kind of view a goalie like, it's like the inventory we have for a store. And the idea what we're trying to do is we're trying to make the best we can out of this inventory. So what do we do? Well, as a former strength and conditioning coach, I can tell you that if we have a short amount of time to get an athlete ready for a season, say like 90 days, okay, 3 months, we can do a lot in 90 days. Like you can totally transform an athlete in 90 days. I've had some amazing athletes that I've worked with, who came to me and they were already like really good athletes. And in 90 days, we transformed them. But the focus is on maximal strength. Okay. It's on maximal strength because your ability to move in front of a ball is a maximal strength movement, right? So maximal strength, fast twitch. So how do you improve like fast twitch fibers? Well, it goes with speed or load, right? So personally, I like working with young athletes and working on load because they rarely work with load. They work with speed, right? Because coaches think that if we just move like light stuff fast all the time, that it'll be safe, like we won't hurt anybody. And that's actually not true. The thing to understand is that when we take an athlete and we get them in the gym and we work them under load, we're working in sets of like, sometimes singles. Like it's like, okay, I want you to work on doing like a max bench press or a max squat or a max deadlift. Now, some of you listening to me right now is like, oh my God, you'll stunt their growth. Like that is totally not true. That myth has been solved like ages ago, right? We're not like Carrie Strug, or Simone Biles, you know, we jumping off of things and landing and 6 times. We can't train an athlete. We can't load an athlete in the gym like an athlete loads themselves on a field. We just can't. It's just physically it's impossible. But it's amazing what the body can do on the field. So in the gym, what we want to do is we want to focus on maximal strength. So I want to encourage you to get around like your qualified strength and conditioning coach, someone who understands how to work with your athlete, because what happens is we want to work on maximal strength but safely within the mobility issues that that athlete has. Okay. So you could have an athlete that's hyper flexible, like that happens to a lot of girls. They're hyper mobile in some areas, so you got to be careful of that. But then you have also, like, usually on the boys side, you get a lot of boys that are like stiff as boards, right? And so we have to work safely within the ranges that they have. But you can do amazing things in 90 days. So my recommendation to you between now and the season starting is to focus on getting in the gym and transforming yourself physically. Maybe you need to lose, 10, 20 pounds, right? Maybe that's the best thing that's going to take you and make you a better athlete. Like if you've got some junk in the trunk, right, then, we can make you better by focusing on diet and low level cardio to get you to shed 20 pounds between the season now and the season. And then guess what? You're going to be like faster in the cage because you're not lugging around a 20-pound backpack. Right. But the other side is like, let's say you're like, you're skinny and light and twitchy. Well, that's great. That's really cool. But we can make you better by getting you in the gym and making you stronger. Okay. So we want to focus on the hips. You want to be focusing on your hips. You want to be focusing on your what's called your posterior chain, your low back, your glutes, your hamstrings. And also we want to be focusing on your lateral mobility, right? Your lateral agility, not necessarily running in a straight line. So the tough thing there is like posterior chain, low back, glutes, hamstrings. That's usually to help, an athlete in a straight line. But if you don't have a lot of strength there, we can make you incredibly fast sideways, by strengthening your hips. And the best way to do that is squats and deadlift and bench press and things like that. All right. So you really got to keep that in mind. So so that should be a focus between now and the spring, is improving your maximal strength, because no matter where you are, like in terms of your like lacrosse development, the truth is that we can make you better. Like if you're an elite goalie, we can make you better because we've made you more athletic. All right, because we've improved your maximal strength. If you're like a novice goalie, like you've been playing for a while, you're not great, your stick skills aren't great. Well, we can make your stick skills better by improving like your fingers, your hands, your just your overall strength. And that stick isn't going to feel like it weighs 1,000 pounds. All right. So one of the things to understand is that a lot of goalies get caught in the technical, right? They love playing in the cage, they love stopping balls, but they don't want to do the work to supplement that. And those ultimately those goalies get passed over by goalies that are more athletic and more explosive. Right. So that's really important to understand. Now, if you're a brand new goalie and you've never played the position and you're trying to, your team's picked you to play on the JV or maybe in the varsity, that happens every once in a while, a team, their starting goalie gets, transfers schools and now the team doesn't have a goalie anymore. Or, I had this sadly a bunch of years ago, I had a goalie whose family, they had like a tragic, kind of death in the family, and this kid had to work. Like he had totally had to leave school and just start working. Um, and so whatever the reasons are, the idea here is that if you're a brand new goalie going into that situation, well, yeah, you need a little bit of a crash course. So one, the more athletic you are, the more of a foundation you'll have to be able to play. Okay, really, really important to understand. However, um, if you're brand new to the game, the best thing you can work on is your stick skills, right? Your ability to pass and catch and throw with a goalie stick is going to, and dodge, I should add to that, is going to help you is when you're in the cage stopping balls, right? Because as a goalie, what are we? But we're just the world's best catcher, right? So the better we can catch with a stick, um, the just in general, the better we will be in the cage, right? That'll improve our confidence. Um, Having a better stick, because you can take a really good player on your team who's got good stick skills and put them in the cage, and they're probably going to be an okay goalie. Right? That's been my experience. It's usually my recommendation to a team that doesn't have a goalie is like, who do you put in the cage? Well, you put in a kid in the cage who's got good stick skills, because most likely they're going to have the best chance. They're going to feel confident in front of the ball, just because they have mastery over that stick. So focus on mastering those stick skills by the time the season comes, and that's one of those things where every day spending just a little bit of time, 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes in front of your mirror, in your bathroom, working on like dodging, like face dodging back and forth. That one, it's tremendously hard on the fingers and the hands and on the core. And you work that both hands, and you're going to get to the field and you're going to have mastery on your stick no matter what. All right. Which is really, really good to know. All right. So really important to understand, that. So first of all, focusing on like, what type of year have you had? Do you need to, are you recovered? Are you ready to go? Do you need a break? And then based on your lacrosse knowledge, what do you do? Again, if you're that elite goalie and you haven't stopped, taking a break can be a great idea. Um, from lacrosse, but then also like take a break from lacrosse and then get in the gym, really focus on your maximal strength, right? Then focus on your stick skills, right? And then, like I said, if you're brand new and you've never played the game, okay, focus on the stick skills, but then also you're going to need some time, like getting any chance of shots you can get, right? And sometimes that's best done with just a buddy down the street. Okay, that's really the truth to that. Okay, so don't overthink it. All right, so I hope that helps. If anybody's got any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment box. Hit the like or the hearts or all this good stuff. That's really appreciated. Bitcoin is down 6%. Just got that notification. Um, although Bear Stearns or Lehman thinks it's going to go to 100,000. So anyway. All right, guys, thanks for watching and thanks for listening wherever you are. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you like this, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. When you're ready, head on over to lacrossegoalieuniversity.com/coaching so I can work with you and your goalie. And while you're at it, check out athletespecific.com to learn more about mental performance and high performance. You may not know this, but I work with athletes in a variety of sports. Lacrosse is my love, but man, I love athletes and the families who support them. So head on over to athletespecific.com, check it out. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.